between the supervisory board on the one hand and the council of delegates on the other hand.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Holger Milk, head of legal department of BVR, what are the changes your organization had to make to adapt to the crisis situation? Please.
Thank you very much for the question. I will answer it immediately, but if you allow me, I would make at first a short reference to something which was mentioned this morning by Janine Dow, because I found it very interesting what she said about the impact of corporate governance aspects on the rating process.
Please feel free.
She mentioned that from a rating perspective, it will never happen that corporate governance aspects will lead to a better result. But a worse corporate governance structure could have serious negative impact on the outcome of the rating process. This in mind, I come for myself to the conclusion that the corporate governance aspects might have had no impact on the good rating results of the German cooperative banking group, which was mentioned already by Mr. Westhoff during his speech. All in all, we have a AA-, which is, I guess, not so bad in these times for a cooperative banking group. None of these points Janine Dow mentioned as possible negative points for the outcome of the rating process you will find in our group. Thus I'm convinced that our model is more than sufficient, also with a view to probably future requirements. Now to the question you've answered. You've asked me how does the corporate governance model in the German cooperative banking group, especially in our more than 1,100 autonomous primary banks, look like. I don't want to confuse you, but I guess we have a little bit different model if I compare it, for example, with the Northern American model, which was presented this afternoon already by Mr. Mayer. We have a clear distinction between the board of directors and the board of supervisors, so not a monistic structure, more dualistic structure. And the board of supervisors is elected directly by all of our members. So usually the size of the board of supervisors is around 10 people. So you can imagine how high the number of members all over Germany is. We have more than 3,500 members of these in this function. And it's not so easy to get all these people because all of the members of the board of directors and as well of the board of supervisors have to be members of the cooperative bank. So you can't take people from somewhere of the country. They have to be members of the cooperative. That is, this is a rule which is fixed in the German cooperative banking law. And usually all these members of the board of supervisors are working on a voluntary basis, so they are unpaid, which causes, as you may imagine, a really narrow pool of candidates from which we have to recruit these 3,500 persons. Especially the task to find sufficient qualified personnel to be members in the board of supervisors has become really a challenging task in the aftermath of the crisis in Germany. Mr. Quaden mentioned already a little bit earlier that we, the cooperative banks, haven't caused the financial crisis. This is absolutely true, but it doesn't avoid that we are touched by the consequences of the crisis, because we are also facing increased expectations from the supervisory side towards, for example, the personal qualification and the professional skills of all members of our supervisory boards. And Monsieur Oliger mentioned already the necessity and the worth of training all these peoples, and this is also our answer to these challenges. We reacted by offering additional training facilities to qualify interested members to become members, for example, of Board of Supervisors. We are doing this vocational training, these courses not on our own as the association. We wouldn't be able to do that. We are working together with our academies. We have academies on the regional level and as well on the federal level. And especially on the federal level, we are offering a lot of courses to bring the potential members of these boards of supervisors, to make them, as the supervisors call it, fit and proper. Yeah, that are not my words, that are the words the supervisors use for this. From my point of view, the results are up to now very satisfying. We have experienced just a very little number of complaints from the banking supervisors from the BaFin in Germany with the quality of the members of our Board of Supervisors. That shows again that also our governance model, concentrating on our own members, is able to react on new requirements and adapt itself also to this new regulatory framework without losing its main characteristics, which we are having already for nearly 100 years in Germany. I guess that gives you a short overview. If I compare it, for example, with the situation of the colleagues in Austria, as Mr. Barnes mentioned, we are not affected directly by the crisis. We are a little bit more affected indirectly via this regulatory framework, which is changing very intensively, and this goes in several areas very deep. I guess in the area of corporate governance, we have to see what is the final outcome of this legal work which is done at the moment on the Brussels level, this transfer of Basel III into CRD4, CRR1. The question of diversity was mentioned several times by Madame Leroux and as well by Monsieur Oliger. We don't know what will be the outcome. At the moment, it's just discussed on Brussels level for the financial industry area, not like in France for the whole business. I'm very interested about the outcome if we are facing probably at the end of this year also this 40% rule just for the financial industry in Germany. And if you remember the numbers I've mentioned, 3,500 potential people using or doing this business in Board of Supervisors, and at the moment the quote of women in these boards is very small.